Hi everyone, it's Rivka Malka coming to you from this lovely arboretum that is actual water that you hear in the background. It's amazing. It's nearly 8 o'clock at night, so the birds are getting a little bit quieter, and I'm grateful to be here to be sharing some Torah with you. Today we're going to be talking about surrender. And on my way over here with these very headphones, I was listening to Shlomo Katz, who does a wonderful class on Facebook, absolutely wonderful class, and he gave over this analogy, and I'll tell it to you now. It's interesting. He might have been quoting someone, or maybe it was his own, I'm not sure, but let's say a guy, let's say you, even if you're not a guy, meet a girl, and she's a really nice girl, and you're like, whoa, I need to know this girl, and you're on the subway. So what do? You're like, can I have your number? And the subway's about to leave, and there she is, and she's standing right by the door, and she calls it out, 847-3942. And you go home, and you're thinking in your head, 847-3942, 847-3942. Nobody talked to me. You know, if anyone talks to, immediately the numbers go away. No, 847-3942, and you go into your house, and you go into your door, and you go into your room. 847-3942, and you're remembering it, and you're drilling it in your brain, and you start dialing 847-5943. Wait, was that the number? Wait, what was the number? 847, and suddenly you can't remember. Wait, what was the last numbers? I know it was 847, and now I'm just thinking, wait, what was it? Was it 5942? And you start dialing. And every time you dial, you don't get through because you can't remember the number. But you keep on trying, and you're like, let me try this combination of numbers. 395. You just keep on trying. And you go to bed that night, and you're like, okay, I got to try this again. The next day, I've got to see that girl again. I've got to. And so you get on the phone again, and you try again. And again, you're getting the wrong numbers. And you start taking out a paper, and you start writing down all the combinations of the numbers that you wrote down that didn't work. And you're working at it, and you're working at it. And you don't get the number. Until one day, it happens. The miracle happens, and you dial the number, and you get through, and there she is on the other line, and it's unbelievable, and you're like, oh my goodness, I've wanted to be in touch with you, and you know that number by heart. The right number is drilled into your mind forever and ever and for eternity. For eternity. Because of all the ways that you've tried and you haven't gotten through. And what if make-believe, and I'm just make-believe that he didn't write down all the combinations. So soon, he's dialing the number and he's trying different combinations, but he starts dialing the wrong number again and again and again. And they're all the wrong number, and he's like, he's never going to reach her. He's not going to get to her because he's just dialing the wrong number again and again. That's the state that we're in right now. Right now, we're in this state where we know what doesn't work. We've tried so many things that don't work, but we have forgotten over the years that these things don't work. I'll tell you what I mean. And so we keep dialing the wrong number again. Imagine you get the right number. Oh, the right number will get you through no problem. And what ecstasy that would be, right? So here we are. It's before Tisha B'Av. If you're not familiar with Tisha B'Av, it's a day where we mourn what we have lost, what the Jewish people have lost, and we yearn. We yearn for our rising into our wholeness, when we are just back in our truth, back together with like the revealed divine presence in this world. And basically we're yearning for world peace. We're yearning for God's presence to be revealed to everyone and through everything, and for all the illusions to be just swept away. And when the illusions are swept away, pain goes away, illness goes away, all kinds of good things happen, where the world is back in alignment, right? And so that's where we are, and it's before Tisha B'Av. And how do we stay in this gullus for so long? How do we stay in this exile for so long? It's like us dialing the wrong number again and again. I think I'll try that program. I think I'll try making a lot of money, and that will be the key. I think I will... Oh, what are all the things that we do? We try to make money, we try to look good, we try to fix things, we try to control things, we try to control people. We try to take retaliation, we try to make things right. We're so busy with all the wrong numbers, and they really haven't worked. And I know they haven't worked because they haven't worked for me either. That's it. They don't work. They're a good effort. The thing that Shlomo Katz was pointing out, where he was pointing to in his analogy, is that when it comes to Torah, when it comes to spirituality, the trying all the different numbers, the trying all the wrong ways, actually makes you take full ownership of the right way. In other words, for the guy who's tried for 40 years the wrong number, when he gets that right number, it's going to be etched in his brain forever. That's called knowing the number. Maybe he thought he knew the number when the girl just told it to him by the subway. Here's my number. And he put it in his brain and he's like, I got it. But he didn't really get it. He didn't really get it until he tried and failed and tried and failed and tried and failed and tried and failed. He didn't get it. But once he got it, after all that trial and error, wow, that's huge. So he quotes the Ishbitzer, who says that at Har Sinai, we thought, yeah, we have the Torah. We're ready to go into Israel. We've got the Torah. We're good to go. But we weren't good to go. We just heard the number once. What we needed was 40 years in the desert. He actually says that the whole punishment from the spies was kind of Hashem's disguise. He wanted to keep us in the desert where we had so many mistakes. Remember all our mistakes? We had so many mistakes, and then we did tshuva and trial and error and learning and trial and error and learning. So by the time we get into the land of Israel, wow, now we can really say, now we understand what Torah is. Now we've worked on it. Now we own it. Now it's ours. And that's how it is with surrender. We can know and we can say, we must have emunah, everything's Hashem, but then we have trial and error for decades and centuries, and in our personal lives, we try everything else at our disposal. And in trying that, we actually are getting closer to the truth. We're sifting away all the things that don't work. Just in the last week, I spoke to the following 3 women. One woman whose son got very sick inexplicably. It seems like it's inexplicable. Was it pandas? Was it a virus? Things were just coming at her. And she's done everything she could, beyond everything she could. You can look up pandas, and spelled P-A-N-D-A-S. They don't know if it's pandas. They don't really know what it is. You know, she has tried everything that the most wonderful mother can possibly try. And yet at the bottom of everything, what's the only hope? What's the hope beyond any doctor? Is only the one who made all these bacteria in the first place. The one who can change the laws of nature. The one who's beyond nature. Only Hashem. And then I spoke to another woman who had a surgery, and she is having a very, very difficult postpartum. And she's had difficult postpartums, but this is the worst. And her surgery was extremely traumatic and dramatic for both her and her family. And she's just in such a depressed state. And she says it's not clinical depression. It's because she can't get things done. She can't physically get things done. She can't get her husband to cooperate the way she wants him to. So he's not getting things done. And she just doesn't feel like she has a partner. And she doesn't feel like this is manageable, and she's overwhelmed. And what is there for her to do? Do you know something? When your body is physically compromised, you literally can't do the things you used to do, and such is life. Such is life. And as we spoke, she came to this place of, I have to let go. It seems so easy when we talk about her. It's not easy when you're that guy. It's not easy when you have spent years taking upon yourself that my job is to keep the house running. That's my job. That's what it means to be a good mother and good wife. It's not easy to let that go. It's actually the hardest thing, is letting go. And then I spoke to another woman whose husband, maybe he has Asperger's. She's not really sure. But he's very rigid. And she doesn't feel so close to him. And she does, and she wants it, but he doesn't know how to reach her in the way that she needs to be reached. And she's taking every marriage class under the sun and trying to be a good wife and trying to get this connection and trying and trying and trying. And at some point in the conversation, she's like, I have to let go. I have to just accept. This is what it is. I have to say, this is Hashem's plan, and I can still be happy within this, because we get in our mind that I can't be happy until this changes. This wasn't what I had in mind. I thought we're going to be in the desert for 3 days and go into the land of Israel. And you're giving me 40 years. It's not what I had in mind. But we learn through all these trials, we become refined. It's like, I can't think of the right analogy. There's some kind of visual in my mind of a refining process. I guess they use the analogy of melting down gold and melting away the impurities till you get that golden nugget. So all of us are heading there, and Hashem is moving us there. He's moving us to ourselves, that is our golden nugget self, that really is so close to Him, is so sweetly close to Him. And, I read a book recently, and this it really affected me. And this guy, he was talking about, he got through this through kind of yoga, but sometimes when you just hear a person's story, it really sinks into your bones in a different way, even if your approach is different than theirs. And he spoke about things that I've been teaching and I've been learning and practicing, but the way that he spoke about it, it just clicked in as a visual for me and became kind of like a model, a tool that I'm going to give to you right now. So he spoke about, this is Michael Singer, he spoke about how he realized that his mind is a chatterbox and tells him many things. And at some point later on in the book, he realizes that the mind is a useful thing, not to do away with. But somewhere at the beginning, he's talking about how his mind it's so noisy in there. Have you ever had that experience? Like you can't settle. You just can't settle. The minute you start, what do you mean, have you ever had that experience? Of course you have. You're having it right now. Even as you're listening to one thing, you're thinking another thing. To be present, to be mindful, to be really quiet, it's how do you get there? How do you get there? And the problem with not getting there is that when you're not in the quiet space, then your mind it's a war zone. What I like and what I don't like, what are they going to think of me? What do I think of them? Should I make dinner? I didn't make dinner. I'm a bad mom. I did make dinner. I'm a good mom, but they don't want to eat. I shouldn't be here. Maybe we ate too quickly. Who's going to clean up? No one's helping me clean up. My house is too chaotic. My house is too quiet. Whichever way it goes for you, a whole lot is going on in there. And it's like you're trying to have this life experience and think of how much energy it takes to be doing life when you're constantly in this dialogue about life. It's a lot of energy to sort through. So he goes on this journey to find his quiet, and of course he finds it through yoga and meditation. And I don't want to give over too much new age things here, because I heard something really cool from Rav Noach Weinberg. He taught the 48 Ways of Wisdom, which is an unbelievable series. You should look up 100%. I 100% look up the 48 Ways of Wisdom on the h.com website. And I remember him saying, yoga, besides for whatever part is idolatrous. I get a lot of people telling me yoga is idolatry. Leave that aside for a minute. Practices that bring you to stillness, mindfulness, presence, inner unity, they're wonderful, he says, but don't make a whole life out of it. It's only one of the 48 ways. It's as if you're taking one way of wisdom and making that your life. So don't do that. Putting that aside now. So this gentleman says that he was looking for a way to find stillness in his mind. And eventually he realized that there is a self that is listening to these thoughts. And he went on a discovery to find out, what does it mean that there is a self? So we know that there's an neshama, there's an essential self that is untouched by anything. It's perfect. Even if you do something wrong, that's just like a veiling, it's a covering. We call it in Hebrew timtum halev. It's like a crust that you can scratch away, you know, like on a lottery ticket, a scratch off lotto. You take your quarter and you scratch it away, and then the numbers are revealed. They were always there. They were always there. We just put a little thin coat over it, scratch the thin coat off, and there it is. That's what your soul is like. It's always perfect. It's always shiny. It's always connected. It's always present. You can always tune in. It's always ready for tshuva. Scratch it off, no problem. You want to fix your ways, you can do that today. It's not hard. So your soul is always there, and it's constant. And your thoughts, they are the stuff of being human being in this world, the stuff, so to speak, that we struggle with. And your thoughts are things that you can actually control. So he goes on this journey to basically spend more and more time sitting in his self, sitting in his essential self, and watching his thoughts. Eventually he learns that thoughts are valuable, because that's how you interpret life, through thoughts. All of thoughts are just trying to make sense of life. We make stories out of life. I'm so glad this happened. It's because I drove here that I finally got this spot at the perfect time. We made a story. We're just trying to make sense out of life. So the stories are happening in our head, but they are only stories that we make up to try to make sense out of life. And we can create whichever stories we want. And I don't know if I've spoken to you exactly about this, but this is a big thing to learn, a huge thing to learn, that all of life is us telling stories, and we can tell the stories that we want to tell. And I hope you come to my coaching course, because we do some unbelievable work looking at the stories we tell ourselves all the time, and our ability to change them. So, in his quest to still the mind, to accept the mind, he started to come to this place of willingness to watch life happen. The same way that he's watching his thoughts, he began to watch life happen. And as he watched life happen, he began to realize, in the way that anyone quiet will, because quiet is the critical ingredient, he began to realize that there is a universe, a God, that's guiding his life. And there's not that much that he has to do but let life happen, so that his thoughts are actually telling him whether he likes or doesn't like what's going on. But the witnessing of what's happening allowed him to surrender to whatever Hashem's plan is. I will give you a little practical example that happened to me. A woman wrote me an email, and if you are listening to this, dear lady, I am not trying to make fun in any way. But she wrote me an email about my dog, that she saw that that in one of my videos my dog was in a crate, and this is no way to take care of a dog, and how can I be a religious Jew if I keep my dog in a crate? And the dog was clearly irritated because there was a party, and I should do better, and I should know better. And there was a lot of caps in that. It was like, you know, giving me like harsh rebuke, as if I don't take care of my puppy, in an email. And it was kind of shocking. So I'm reading this email way too early in the morning, by the way, 7 a.m. I'm reading this email with someone really, like 5 full paragraphs of yelling at me. And how I feel is that my heart starts pounding. It really starts pounding because I'm getting attacked. It's a clear attack. There's a lot of caps in it, and about, you're a religious Jew, how can you do that? And you probably, and it said, like, now I see that you make videos by yourself, because are you hiding from us because really you abuse your dog? And it was like, whoa. And I'm feeling attacked, and my heart is pounding, and my thoughts are racing. And because I've been in this practice of learning to witness my thoughts and be in the stillness more, I just watch myself almost as if I have a seat in my head back here, and I'm sitting in myself, and I like to imagine it as if there's a cord of light going from the top of my head straight down my spine, and it reaches up to eternity. It's the infinite light. And, you know, it's probably over here, you know, that's your crown, but that's just how I imagine my spine. And I'm sure some chakra people out there can tell me more about that. And just kind of sitting in my light and watching how the front of my head over here, this whole place that makes stories, the neocortex is saying stories about being attacked. And I'm watching with kind of an interested curiosity how my heart starts pounding when I feel attacked. And I'm saying to myself, wow, this is what I do when I feel attacked. And no one's trying to hurt me, by the way. I believe that this woman cares very much about dogs. So it's not really about her. It just was an interesting experience for me. I feel attacked. I'm here. It's 7 a.m. My heart's pounding, and I just let this feeling run through me. And I notice that it's just a human experience of how we feel when things happen. And I'm just with it until it's gone. I don't fight it. I don't make up more stories about it. I don't think, what am I going to write her back? Nothing. Just watch myself having the human experience, sitting in the seat of my soul, and it passed. And I actually went back to sleep because it was too early for a summer morning. And that was that. And later, the next day, I was actually able to write her a really nice email back, because my guess is that this is a person who feels very closely towards animals and just felt like she has to crusade, you know, and saw something she thought wasn't good. So I was able to just thank her for being her, and that was it. But I don't always do that. Think about how many times in life I'll get triggered or you'll get triggered, and life triggers us all the time. You can get triggered by someone pulling out in front of you. And we give so much meaning to the human experience instead of sitting back and saying, huh, look what I do. Isn't this interesting? And what I love is that when you do this, not only do you get in touch with an inner peace, but you allow Hashem to move through you with ease. Because life is going to happen anyway. I call it the moving sidewalk. Life is a moving sidewalk. Hashem will bring you where He wants you to go. So how do you want to get there? Do you want to get there kicking and screaming with tremendous pain and discomfort in your brain, kicking against what Hashem wants? It's so uncomfortable. It's miserable. Or do you want to feel the human experience and surrender to Hashem? Hashem, I surrender to you. I am giving myself to you. I know I'm in good hands. I know it. And we spoke before about the secret to miraculous salvations. The secret to miraculous salvations is trust in Hashem's unconditional love, that He wants to show that to us even more than we want it. He can't wait to reveal Himself to us. Go ahead and ask Him anything, because He wants to give. Not because you deserve it, not because I deserve it, just because that's who Hashem is. When you realize that that's who Hashem is, it allows you to surrender to what's happening in life. And I have to tell you that I'm in a point in my life, like a lot of things happened this last month, where suddenly so many things are unknown. It's very, very interesting. I will have to tell you about it once things are more known. But right now, there's a lot of unknown. And it's very interesting because I feel a little bit of fear. And as I feel the fear, first of all, it's only a little bit, which is very cool. Also, I'm noticing that it comes and goes. Like, I'm free from the fear, and then it's back, and I'm free, and it's back. And as the fear comes, then I am pulling back into myself, and then I'm coming back to this place of Enod Movado. Enod Movado is the secret formula. There's nothing but Hashem. There's nothing but Hashem. In English, you want to call it surrendering. Surrendering kind of is a little bit of a difficult word, because it can evoke an image of kind of, I lay down and I give up. I don't have partnership in this. We have partnership with Hashem. But we say Ein od milvado. There's nothing else that's in control but you. So then I'm going back to the Ein od milvado place. Some other time that I feel, oh my gosh, I'm feeling anxious again, come back to the Ein od milvado place. Hashem has got this covered. He's got the whole plan laid out for us. So, for all of you out there who are trying all the different things that we try, when we try, I want to offer you to surrender. I mean, that's just, in the right way. To say, you know what? Life is happening and it's for my benefit. This is a good thing. And I notice that I'm scared and I notice that I'm uncomfortable. But I also notice that I have this infinite, eternal connection that lives within me. And I can tap into that at any time I want. I can lean back into what's real about me. And I can have closeness to Hashem from that place. Now, you've heard all this before. Did you know that? You've heard this 1,000 times. This is just new language. When we have the truths, we need the truth in many different languages, colors, forms. You'll hear everything boils down to love, and then you'll have to find that out yourself. So this is just a new language for the same old message, but it's a new language that has been helpful to me to quiet the mind, to notice what's happening in the mind, to sit back in the self, and to surrender to all the beautiful ways that Hashem is running your life. And I think that coming up is Tisha B'Av, and I will be putting out a video for that as well. I think that one of the things we tell, especially people who are fasting for the first time on Tisha B'Av, we say, don't look at the clock, don't count the hours. Just fill your day. And when we count the hours, we're almost in a battle with time. I think it's a great analogy for what we do with our life. We're counting the hours till it's over. We're waiting for something to be over. It's too difficult. We can't. And it's so uncomfortable. But sitting back into the experience, I have found that Tisha B'Av has become more and more meaningful to me, because just let myself be in the experience of Tisha B'Av and not judge it. And not judge if I'm having the most meaningful emotional time or the least, or if I did the best job educating my children on Tisha B'Av or the worst job. There's something about that that's just, it's less struggle. It's more ease with what life is presenting you. Because left to our own devices, do you know how many ideas we have about what life should be presenting us? It never ends. We have ideas about how our children should be and how our spouses should be. And you know what we have the most ideas about? How we're supposed to be. The timeline that we are not reaching of the fantastic person that we are supposed to be at this point in our lives. Well, guess what? That's just making yourself crazy. So, in a strange way, it's kind of permission to enjoy the beautiful, beautiful things that life has to offer. I'm going to tell you something personal. I walked to the Arboretum today. So driving, it's like 7 minutes, so I'll come here whenever. And today, the weather was nice, and I walked here. And the moment I decided to walk here, it was a great moment. I put my headphones on my tickle. My husband was like, that looks very funny. But I'm like, okay, I have to look funny, sorry. And I have hiking boots on, and I had to carry my water bottle and a funny bag. And I'm just not used to that much walking, so it's 45 minutes to come here. And the minute that I left my house, all of a sudden the voices started. And do you know what they said? Why are you taking time for yourself? And it's like an hour, and it's prime time for the family. It's like 6:30 in the evening. Why? And then it said, why is the first thing that you're thinking of doing going to spend time by yourself? You're a mother. You should be home. And then it was like so unenjoyable. And I had planned this beautiful walk. And so I quieted my mind, and I just said, these are just thoughts, I'm not getting into them. Because guess what? When I made the decision to come here, I looked around, I saw, oh, she has a friend over, they're very happy. My husband is with my older son, they're very happy. It's a beautiful day, I'll be back with plenty of time for a great evening. It's just a perfect moment. I knew when I made the plan that it's the perfect moment. And then the voices came. And think about would I have been able to enjoy my walk on my way here if I let those voices gain traction? If I fed them? Instead, I had to direct them. I have to be in charge of my thoughts. So instead, I mean, it's a little personal, but I just said, thank you, Hashem, for bringing me on this walk, for giving me this experience, for making this possible. And off I went with my funny looking headphones. They don't look normal, over a tickle, yes, and this string. And I heard that people don't wear these headphones anymore. They only wear little plugins in the ears. I don't know. And Shlomo Katz, my ears, I heard a good cheer. And after I was here for a while, making this class for you. So, that's it. That's my message for today. Hope that it helps you and affects you as deeply as it's affected me. I will leave you with the final thought, because I heard this short clip that said something that was so important. It was a Breslov Rav talking, and he was saying that until now, we had some emunah, we had some belief in Hashem, and that was good. And tzaddikim, even the greatest ones amongst us, they had like a 95% belief in Hashem. But in order to reveal the greatest light in this world, God is pushing us to a place where we have to have 100% belief. 95 is not enough, 99 is not enough, 100% belief in Hashem. So how are you going to get 100% belief in Hashem if you're so capable, if everything's going so awesome, if you feel like you're the great designer and you make stuff happen and everything's in control? That's not going to bring you where you need to go. So we are definitely being moved and guided to be our brightest, shiniest, most golden nugget self. And I wish us and I bless us with an amazing Shabbos, a Shabbos of connection, a Shabbos of surrender, a Shabbos where we say, Hashem, like we're finally giving up on dialing all the wrong numbers. We're just going to dial the right number direct to you, and you pick up every single time. All right? Take care. Have a beautiful Shabbos. Stay tuned for two things. Number one, I'll be putting out a video for Tisha B'Av, on Tisha B'Av. Number two is I will be giving a fulfillment course in the 5 towns, July 3rd through August 2nd. The fulfillment course is about learning what is my divine light. It's about learning what are my self-sabotaging voices, what is my life mission. It's about creating an entire new sense of who you are. And the thing about these coaching courses is that not only do they teach you about yourself, but they're geared towards teaching you how to bring this gift to others. So that when the women came on the coaching course, they learned how to coach others, and in doing so, they learned how to look at themselves. And the same thing with this course. You'll be able to guide another person, blast through all of their illusions about who they are, and help them to look at their entire life story and literally pick out the themes to understand, what is Hashem wanting from you? What was He trying to build? What is He trying to build? What's your special divine light that you're meant to bring to the world? How can you bring it to the world? How do you sabotage yourself? And how can you be the leader that you were meant to be? Because, my friends, every one of us is a leader. Every one of us is a leader. You lead by example. Every environment you step into is a leader. My son just told me he went to a farewell for his friends, and he's like, it was just a bunch of guys, but then he came in with 2 bottles of alcohol, and then it was a party. His very presence and his contribution with alcohol, it just became a party, right? That's I'm not saying everyone should be drinking at parties, but you understand what I'm saying. Leadership takes place in small ways and big ways. That's a funny way, but you understand. And there's many, many of you women out there that I know, because you're the people that I connect with, that have so much leadership in you, and the world needs you to contribute it, especially if you're listening to this class right now. Why? Because I say